Hello and welcome back to X-Plane 11 and part 2 of my review for the Piper PA-28R Arrow 3, available from JustFlight.com for £27.99, developed by JustFlight. In part 1 I had a look at some of the checklists, some of the features that were available on the aircraft. We started the aircraft up, we took a listen to how it sounds, took a listen to how it looks. I showed off things like the dynamic reflections, how you could switch them on and off. We had a look at the options for cargo, for the door. We had a look at what is available on this aircraft, the liveries that are available, what it looks like, both inside and out. In this episode, we are going to, well, this one and probably the next one, we are going to be taking this aircraft off, and I'm going to be running it somewhat through its paces. So we're going to be having a look at this aircraft. That's all wrong, isn't it? I'm going to be having a look at this aircraft, and we are going to be seeing what this aircraft is like to fly and seeing what we can do with it. Now, the only thing that I'm trying to do right now is I'm just trying to get ourselves some very good head tracking so that we can look out. Oh, not like that. That's the issue I'm running into right now. See, as I start looking out, it's deciding that it wants me to stick my head out the window, which is something that I'm trying to stop it doing. But okay, as I sort this out, I'm sure it'll be running fairly nicely when we want it to run. So okay, so we find ourselves on the runway. We find ourselves on the runway here at Echo Golf November X-Ray. That's East Midlands Airport. We've got plenty of fuel to do what we want to do in this particular episode and the next. So let's go ahead and get this aircraft ready to go. So we're going to go back to the checklist, and we're going to go to before takeoff checklist. And also, I have learnt that if you go like that, if you just scroll back down, that will easily switch off. So that's pretty good for us right there. I'm going to get rid of that. So let's have a look. Before takeoff, battery master switch is on. Alternator is on. Flight instruments have been checked. Fuel selector is desired tank. Fuel pump is on. Engine checks have been done. Alternate air is closed. Mixture has been set. Propeller has been set. Flaps have been set to 1. Trims have been set. Controls are free and doors are latched. Great. Takeoff. Line up on runway. Check the compass. Check. Flap set, trim set, throttle. Right, we're going to do this. So it's going to be rotating at 65, trying to climb at 75. Once we're airborne, apply the brakes. Landing gear can be retracted. Then above 300 feet, we will retract the flaps. Alright, so let's see what we can do there. Alright, let's go ahead and get this up and running for us. No, that's not where I want it. Come on. There we go. Alright, everything's good here. I think so. Mixture can now go full rich. There we go. Fantastic. Brake checks. Let's see if that's actually working. That's working. It's not exactly the best brakes at the moment. I don't have the brake set up as I want it to. Parking brake can be released, and we are good for a takeoff. We're going to climb, and then we're going to turn to a heading of we're going to turn north. We're going to turn due north. Right, here we go. I think my brakes are come on. There we go. Alright, what does this aircraft sound like? Immediately, it sounds awesome. There's 65. Rotate. Bring that trim down. Apply the brakes. Gear in. And we're going to see if we can trim for a 500 foot per minute climb. Flaps can come in. Don't need them either. And there's a takeoff. wonderful, beautiful takeoff. Let's stabilize ourselves on this climb, which is proving to be a little bit more difficult than I was hoping, but that's partly due to my X-plane controls. I haven't got the trim controls set up exactly as I want them to be. Very nice. You know what we haven't done? Those lights need to go on. There we go. Okay. Get that climb running, and we will now do a turn to the left. Unfortunately, the power station, like I said, the power station is not there. Otherwise, that would have really helped me out. It's a visual reference I use quite often. Alright, interestingly, I don't think my yaw's working. No, it's working. It's just not working as I want it to work. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Okay. Roll out on 0. Continue the climb. I wanted a 90... Let's see if we can get a 90 knot climb. If this aircraft decides to behave, can we get a 90 knot climb out of this? Don't think so. We're going to tune this up for 270 on the Nav 2. And that's going to be for the Trent VOR. This aircraft is very different to fly than I thought it would be. In terms of, it feels a lot more fluid, a lot more dynamic. There we go, now we're getting somewhere. But it doesn't seem to hold the trim properly. I'm just going to switch off the head tracking for a moment. See if I can just sort this out. It doesn't hold that trim very well at all. Should probably switch this on to on as well. DME is on Nav 1. We don't have to worry about Nav 1 right now. We're actually going to switch this off to Nav 2. Switch this into that one, remote. And I'll show you what these all do in a moment. The aircraft does have a tendency to pull to the left. We'll bring the props back now. And we'll bring that mixture back. And we'll lean the engine a little bit. There we go. The aircraft is definitely pulling to the left though. And I don't know why. I don't think it should be pulling to the left that significantly. That being said, we've now got our climb stabilized, and we're going to continue climbing over to about 3,000 feet today at 90 knots, and we're going to try and maintain that. I am having to make slight corrections to keep this aircraft flying on the heading that I want it to fly, but I'm not putting in any elevator at the moment. This is all happening on the trim. So now the trim is, it takes a while, but the trim does get stabilized. We're climbing 500 foot per minute, 90 knots, exactly as I want to climb. Right, now to take a look at everything that this aircraft has. So in front of us, what do we have? Well, we have the Garmin GNS 530. I'm not going to take a look at that because that's the default 530 that you get in X-Plane, so we're not going to be taking a look at that. What we are going to be having a look at is the various options that we have in front of us. So we've got, obviously we've got our squawk box here, which I'm squawking 7,000, which is the standard code in the United Kingdom, so that's why I'm squawking it. We've got our Nav 1, which is currently not on because we are well out of range of 109.35, which is East Midlands. That's the East Midlands ILS for the runway. We've got our altimeter, which is working absolutely fine. Our QNH, if I press B, yep, the QNH is exactly where I want it to be. I was hoping that's fine. Our vacuum pressure is within tolerances, so that's absolutely fine. Our airspeed is absolutely fantastic. What we can do is we can turn this heading bug, I'm going to turn this heading bug all the way around to 0, because I'm going to be showing you the autopilot in a minute. In fact, due to me showing you the autopilot, I'm probably going to switch this over to 260. Actually, 270 will be fine for us. I can show you the autopilot with 270. Right, we're coming up on 3,000 feet. Let's see if we can trim this aircraft down and fly at 3,000 feet. Again, not using the elevator. This is just on trim. So the aircraft should now speed up, and as the aircraft speeds up, we should be able to maintain 3,000 feet. Roughly. Come on, nose down a little bit more. There we go. And a bit more as we speed up. We're past 100 knots. Continue going. Alright, so at this point I'm going to show you part of the autopilot. So we've done a nice climb, we've seen how this aircraft turns. We'll do a bit more turning in a while. We'll use both the autopilot and we'll use it normally. So the modes on the autopilot we have Nav Mode, Omni Mode, Heading Mode, Localizer Normal and Localizer Reverse. We're going to start with Heading Mode. So the way you switch this aircraft into Heading Mode and then hold it in Heading Mode is by, first of all, selecting that onto Heading. Making sure that the heading bug is set to your desired heading, switching on the autopilot, then switching on the heading hold, and you'll see that this will now hold the heading that we've selected. It's very important to ensure that you put this aircraft, you change that heading bug to the heading hold, because if you don't, the aircraft will start turning pretty much immediately. Okay, so now that we've got that, that's pretty good. Just need to trim slightly up. We'll have a look at this aircraft from the outside in a moment too. And we'll probably go back to the checklists. Let's have a look at what other checklists we have. So we've done all of this. We've done our climb. We've set our climb speed. Cruising, we're fine. That's going to be fine. Approach landing, we're okay. So we can switch the fuel pump off now. That's pretty good for us. Awesome. Okay, we are flying really, really well. In fact, at this point, I think I can take you outside. Let's have a look at this aircraft from the outside. That looks spectacularly good. It really, really does. Reflections are good. The detail is good. The modeling is great. And it sounds completely and utterly realistic, and that's also very, very important. Alright, now I'm just going to switch on my head tracking again and see if it likes it. Oh, it kind of likes it a little bit better now. I can take a few more photos. That's not where I want it to be. It doesn't seem to be all too happy with the left-hand side. Right, we're coming up on our navigation. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pop this into Nav Mode and watch what happens. So we pop that into Nav Mode, which is the first one. And it should, if we switch this correctly, which I haven't, switch this correctly over to Nav 2, it should bank us to line up with what we need it to line up on. Now, because we don't have altitude control on this aircraft, I am going to have to lift the nose myself. And that's really, really important to note. So you can see I'm actually manually lifting the nose of this aircraft up. Okay, but I am going to show you a very neat little trick in a moment as I pitch this aircraft up. Looking superb. Any of those little dropouts you see, that's me actually taking screenshots. That's why it's just pausing for a slight moment. Alright, so let's trim the aircraft now. Right, again, I'm going to switch off the head tracking so I can show you the neat little trick. So you see this little piper, when you hover over this piper, it gives you a little hand. Well, watch this. This aircraft doesn't have, like I said, altitude control. So it can only handle turning. It's got navigation, localizer mode. So it can allow us to work in a lateral sense, but it cannot allow us to work in a vertical sense. So what I'm going to do is, as we reach 3,000 feet, there's a neat little trick here. I'm going to press this piper wording here. When I press that, like so, you heard that little click noise. That has activated altitude control for me. And there you go. I am now at 3,000 feet, not a care in the world. So now I'm at 3,000 feet. I am on the Trent VOR. As you can see, I am tracking that Trent VOR, and we're headed towards Trent. Now, what I'm going to do is we're going to head towards Trent, but then we're going to head past Trent because I'm going to do something else after this, and we're going to be doing a little bit of stall. We're going to be testing the stalls. There's an airport right there. Oh, that airport is East Midlands. Never mind. I see that there's an airport right there. No, it's not. That's not East Midlands. That's a... What is that a beacon for? East Midlands should be off our port bow, but never mind. Alright, so there we go. So now we're headed towards Trent, and we're actually doing really nicely. We're doing 110 knots. I could even go a little bit faster, but I'm not going to because I just want to demonstrate a few things here. So now that we've done that, we're on Nav 2 on this. Now I want to sort of point out a few things that I don't like about this aircraft at this point in time. One of them is these displays. So you can see that this display is not quite, if I just move forward, this display is not quite lined up as I want it to be, and that's slightly annoying. That is slightly annoying. And also, if we move over to here, and I can do this whilst I'm doing this, have a look at this. Now this display, I have to admit, was much better in Flight Sim World, and you can actually see the background, sort of the texture that they've got in the background, but how small the writing is compared to that texture. Look at the writing and look how small it is compared to the texture in the background. This writing needs to be that size. It really needs to be that size. It would help a massive amount. You know what, I'm going to put the fan on low. That's another feature that this has that the other one doesn't have. So I would really like to see that adjusted to correlate to the actual size of that, and it just makes it easier to see. I mean, if you have a look at it here, that's a lot harder to see. Much harder to see, that is, than when it would be larger. So I would like that change. That would be really helpful. Right, at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to match the heading with the direction we're flying, which is on this. And the reason I'm doing this is because we're coming up to the VOR. You can see on this, why do I keep doing that? 393, isn't it? It's 5.3 nautical miles away. That's our ground speed, 115 knots, and it's going to take us 3 minutes to get there. And when we reach there, I'm going to end this part of this episode, or this review. And then what we're going to do is, in the next part, we're going to be doing a flight, we're going to be using the ADF to fly back towards East Midlands. We're going to fly back towards East Midlands, then we're going to land it, but also we're going to be doing a little bit of stall practice. So I'm going to be checking out the stalls on this aircraft and the stall characteristics, and maybe I might even try out, I don't know whether I should or not, but I might try out the spin characteristics. But anyway, let's swap into heading mode once again. So there we go, we're now in heading hold. As you saw, the aircraft did slightly move, but that's completely okay. That's still on, as you can see. And I'll show you this roll mode, and I will show you, once I show you the roll mode, we'll be doing some stall practice in the next episode, and then landing the aircraft. Hopefully this aircraft, or this review, is giving you a good idea of what this aircraft is like to fly. So far, fairly impressed. The trim is a little bit odd, and I think my controls are not allowing me to turn the aircraft as I want to, but nevertheless it's really, really great. Again, available for £27.99 at JustFlight.com. This is the JustFlight Arrow PA-28R, which is originally a Piper aircraft. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to hit the like button if you like this video, subscribe to the channel for more videos on X-Plane 11. Leave a comment in the comments box below letting me know what you think, and also don't forget to support me on Patreon, www.patreon.com/ECGadget, and follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/ECGadget. That is all from me, and I'll see you guys next time in X-Plane 11.